LGBTQ and the feminist movement knew they could take advantage of the gains made by black people during the civil rights movement. So what did they do? They wrapped themselves in blackness. They slid in under the cover of the civil rights movement and have essentially usurped the gains made by black people. You know what's happened? The black man has been iced out of all this. The black man, the one that helped to usher in all these changes, has been iced out. They have. First, I want to thank everybody that has subscribed, liked, commented. I appreciate everything that you've said. No matter what you've said, I appreciate the likes. Please share this with your friends. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure you hit that share button. We're trying to make sure that everybody know that they're not victims, that they're empowered for greatness, that we can make a difference again in this nation. That we can stand up for biblical values, we can stand up for truth and push back against all the lies and everything that's false that's taking place in this land. So I appreciate that. And please, thank you for looking at my videos and participating and making our voice known.
So many people, especially in social media, share many things. They share arguments. They share their kids doing things. They share recipes. We are just one of many voices who share love. I mean, we're just sharing a part of who we are, a part of our life. I think we share from an authentic place. I'm Niecy Nash.
And this is Jessica Betts.
Well, I'm a Betts too, but this is also Essence Uncovered.
So, on the latest cover of Essence magazine, their magazine, so for those of you who don't know, Essence magazine is essentially the magazine that exemplifies, amplifies the voices of black women. So on the latest issue, the cover is Niecy Nash and her wife, as I guess you would refer to her partner, if you will. Now, when you first look at that, you wouldn't know that that was a woman that Niecy Nash was hooked up with. It looks like a man that just has a short haircut when you look at him. But what I want to talk about is this cover is the latest example of the degradation of the black family and the diminishing role of the black man, in particular the black husband and the black father in the black community. What this does, it affirms that being a lesbian is accepted in the black community, and not just accepted, but affirmed. And anyone that speaks out against it is shunned, ostracized, a bigot, and incorrect. That the black community has fully wrapped its arms around the LGBTQ plus movement. That the civil rights movement has been engulfed by the LGBTQ trans plus whatever movement. That the purpose of, or the affirmation, the rise of LGBTQ sensitivities, the rise of LGBTQ acceptance has reached the point that being a black man, a heterosexual black man, is on par with being a white man in the eyes of the black community. While that's hard to say, that is reality. Black men, heterosexual black men, are looked at the same way as heterosexual white men. And it's sad to say. The black family has been on the decline for the last 50 or 60 years due to policies instituted by the progressive left, instituted by the same ones who are looking to push this LGBTQ, this alternative lifestyle. They're trying to make it not alternative, but mainstream into the black community. And they're doing it intentionally because they know that the black community is traditionally conservative, traditionally religious. And so they want to pierce that. And they have pierced it to the point to now you have 2 lesbians appearing on the cover of Essence magazine, validating that that culture is the dominant culture in the black community. Biblical values no longer reign supreme in the black community. People are too scared to stand up for biblical values. They have sat back in the corner, sat back on their pews, sat on their hands, and watched this happen because they are too afraid. Because the culture in the black community has shifted so much that standing for biblical values is no longer correct. Is no longer the appropriate response. Is no longer paramount. Is no longer the standard. Black families intact. Nuclear families, male, female, children, is no longer intact. That's why you have all these men having all these babies. That's why black women, and women in particular, think it's okay to have children without being married. And they think that being a lesbian, being trans, or being gay is the same thing as being in a traditional family. I love everybody. I have no fault against anyone that's in a different lifestyle. I don't hate them. I love them, but they are deceived. This is satanic. This is demonic. It's intentional to attack and destroy the black family. It's all been intentional. It has been intentional ever since the civil rights movement. The LGBTQ and the feminist movement knew they could take advantage of the gains made by black people during the civil rights movement. So what do? They wrapped themselves in blackness. They slid in under the cover of the civil rights movement and have essentially usurped the gains made by black people. You know what's happened? The black man has been iced out of all this. The black man, the one that helped to usher in all these changes, has been iced out. They have. The traditional black family, the one that was the backbone of the community for years, that held the community together in the midst of true segregation, in the midst of true slavery, in the midst of true oppression. That family has been deconstructed. That family has been dissolved. That family has been relegated to the margins. All in the name of fairness, all in the name of equity, all in the name of tolerance. They want to make black people victims. It is a victim mentality, it's victimhood because they can use that to profit, they can use that for power. We are not victims. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. And I refuse to let them do that to black men and the black family. Black men are the backbone of the community. They are the backbone of the community. They haven't always been there for a myriad of reasons. They haven't always been there, haven't always fulfilled that role. But in God's eyes, it's the male that is the backbone of the family. He's the one that upholds everything because he's being upheld by the Trinity. He's being upheld by Jesus. He's being upheld by the Father. He's being upheld by the Holy Spirit. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. But when you have alternative lifestyles taking preeminence in a community and being flaunted on the cover of a magazine that is seen by millions, that is a further illustration of the destruction of the black family and the dissolution and the relegation of the black man to the margins. We are not victims. We're not victims. We are empowered for greatness. We do not celebrate lifestyles that are contrary to biblical values because biblical values are the only things that will establish us and get us back and propel us to where we need to be as a community. Because biblical values will allow us to focus on those things that benefit us. It allows us to focus on economic opportunities. It allows us to see things clearly and not be controlled by the globalists, not be controlled by the progressive Marxists who want to just retain power by dividing and separating us. That's all they want to do. But we are not victims. We see their plot, we see their plan, we see their intentions, we see their scheme. We're not going to fall for it. We are not victims. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness, and we must stand up for the family and stand up to make sure that the family structure remains intact, because if it does not, the community will fall, the community will crumble. And we're seeing the results of that. We're seeing the results of 50 or 60 years of intentional policies directed to remove the black man from the household and to destroy the black family. We're seeing the results of it by all the crime, all the degradation taking place in the black community. Because once the man has been moved out, Uncle Sam came in. It's just like when Jesus told the story, how when an unclean spirit leaves a man, it goes out searching for other places to reside in. And it comes back and it finds that home swept and clean, but it was empty. It was empty. And so what did he do? He went and grabbed 7 spirits more wicked than him and brought them back. And the last state of that man was worse than the first. And that's what's happening in the black community. The black community, the state of the black community is worse now than it ever has been in the past. The state of the black community is worse now than it ever has been in the past. And it's all because of the spirits that we have allowed into the community that have contributed to its downward spiral. We have to right the ship. We have to get the ship back in order, because we are not victims. We are not victims. We are empowered for greatness. Thank you so much for liking and your comments and subscribing to the channel. Please share this with your friends. Smash that like button, smash the subscription bell, share this with everybody you know. We're trying to make sure people understand that they're not victims, that they are empowered for greatness, and all this stuff that's out here that's telling them otherwise is false and will not benefit them in the end. So please, I appreciate that. Share that.